You know, some of you folks know this. Some don't. Some care. Some may not. But in the early 90s, there was a movie called JFK by Oliver Stone, and it really caused a fervor, to say the least. So you're looking at 28 years after the fact, because the event happened in 1963. Well, I watched that movie with a dear old friend of mine, and, I always knew in my heart that there was something really wrong there with the whole scenario of what happened, and I could understand through my upbringing and understanding of history and things that, we lost a great man. That wasn't just some transient official, something really, the whole game changed after he was assassinated and the subsequent assassinations of his brother when he was running for president, and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all the things that came after. But I spent a solid, I'd say, 18, maybe even up to 24 months just absorbed with that assassination and reading every interesting book and perspective I could find, making trips to New Orleans and Dallas. And I actually met some people firsthand that are now deceased from probably old age and disease, but that were there and involved on that fateful day. And I know they were actual people because I'd seen them years prior in black and white and color footage from different times that they were interviewed as witnesses to what happened and so forth. And I even stood close to Marina Oswald, who was the named assailant Lee Harvey Oswald's widow. And she was actually speaking with a private assembly the day before the 30th anniversary in 93 in Dallas, and I was there, and ironically the police show up and say that if you don't have a permit, you must disperse. But she was talking about how, her husband was innocent, and she was under a lot of pressure by the government to go along with, what was going to be said and sold to the American public of her estranged husband as being the assassin, which she deeply regretted then, and even more so at that time in 93. But she was a Russian who came over under pretty much defection status and came to this country as her husband with her husband Lee Harvey Oswald, and there was always a lot of questions to what the hell he was doing in Russia and all that. But anywho, I'm convinced without a shadow of a doubt that the man didn't shoot anybody. He didn't kill the police officer near his rooming house. He didn't shoot the president's limousine. He truly was just a fall guy for a much, much, much bigger picture. And I think a lot of us feel that way now, but, so many years have gone by that, we'll never get justice on that situation. But, I'm scrolling through the TV and here's yet another program about it. And I think the point I'm trying to get to is, it's just something that bothers our nation. And it bothers those who have interest in history, American history in particular, and, even world history, that, the death of that one individual just changed so many things and just put a weird spin on, the future that happened after his death. He and his administration just brought so much promise and were doing so many things that were very, very positive that would benefit not only all ages in this country, but all ages of people around the world. And, it's nothing new that, kings are killed. But being a person who follows politics and presidents and timelines, I got to tell you, we haven't had anyone of that caliber since, and I don't think we ever will again. If you go back and listen to some of his speeches and so forth, and some of the things that he did in his short not even 4-year term. It was just under 3 years is when he was killed. That guy was moving some mountains. You know, he and his people, I truly believe, saved us from World War III with Russia and Khrushchev in 1962. You know, he and his cabinet and his staff were some of the brightest people in the world, and I think all of them had, you know, they cherished the world and their children's futures. You know, they had the right ideas. But that doesn't necessarily translate into peace and harmony, you know, because there's equal numbers out there that want discord and bedlam and war and chaos because, well, put something in the newspapers, it puts names up in lights, and for certain individuals, it makes them a lot of money. But it's just something that just won't seemingly ever go away, you know, because there's so much there that we don't really know. And but we do know now that there's a lot more there than meets the eye of some lone nut with a cheap gun with a defective scope shooting through dense foliage from 60 feet off the ground. And no, that's bullshit. But I don't know. I look back on all that, and I really did devote a lot of time and effort and money to that cause. And I guess in the last analysis, what I can tell you is, if you get too big for your britches, you can't be impeached. You know, they can't get enough dirt on you, you know, and you're rocking the boat, as they say, and messing with the status quo. Well, you need to go. And sometimes I firsthand know how that feels. Have a great weekend, people.